The return of the Italian project Lord Agheros brings a very interesting fusion between extreme metal, death, doom, and black metal, without much concern for the borders they cross, and orchestral arrangements and folk/world music. It's these ethnic elements that give a different color to what could have been an interesting album, but was still banal. The atmosphere created is cinematic and makes us think of soundtracks from films such as Gladiator or Troy. Songs like Lament of the Lost and Sorrow's Shroud are excellent examples of their potential. Recommended. Harakiri For The Sky are one of the great references in the fusion of black metal with post-metal and even post-rock, without ever easing up on the heaviness, as was partly the case with Alist. After re-recording their first 2 albums, it's finally time for their 6th album, which delivers what we've all been waiting for. Melodies that go hand in hand with melancholy, and even sometimes with an epic factor that combine with the long duration of each of the songs. There's just one small problem, which may be greater or lesser depending on the taste of each listener. The poor vocal dynamics, not exactly the quality of the voice, mind you, which sometimes makes you feel a bit saturated, a factor that isn't new, but which is especially noticeable here, as these songs call for a greater range of vocals. The 5th album by New Zealanders Barshasketh is more intense and violent than ever. Within the organized chaos that is their music, they also bring that dissonant melody that creates an attractive atmosphere, especially for those who like claustrophobic black metal. And thanks to this, it manages to be immediate without being catchy. It's the way it manages to capture the listener first by the atmosphere that then leaves them helpless in the face of the intelligent arrangements that underpin these 7 songs. New Zealand may not be the most immediate destination for metal, let alone black metal, but Barshasketh show that good music has no nationality. Labyrinth already deserve recognition for being one of the great forces in Italian power metal, with a solid career that hasn't shown any weak moments. And the vanishing echoes of Goodbye doesn't contradict that feeling, with a set of strong songs, where the progressive sensibility gives that extra touch of class we've come to expect. Memorable melodies that don't prevent the heaviness and speed from shining through. The combination of these different aspects of their musical identity makes it possibly their best album in recent years. Stick to Your Guns are back with what you expect. Power, anger, and a lot of energy in the form of explosive hardcore. And what we love most about this band is the way they always remember to have a powerful message as powerful, and even more so at times, as their music. Something they haven't forgotten as their evolution has brought them more and more success. That upward path continues on Keep Planting Flowers, an album full of anthems that we recommend. Faithxtractor's 5th album continues to bring death metal full of intensity and based on the old school rules of the style. Anyone who likes extreme music and death metal in particular will recognize those same rules. But that doesn't mean that this is a work full of cliches, with nothing new and fresh to offer. In fact, that's one of its strengths. It sounds classic, but it doesn't sound rehashed or unoriginal. Another strong point is the way in which it manages to be dynamic, which helps to ensure that you never have a dull moment during these almost 40 minutes. Hax Capel are back with their 2nd album of originals. For anyone who hasn't heard of this Swedish one-man band, this is the perfect time to get to know them, especially if you're a fan of Scandinavian black metal, which has complied with the laws in force since the first half of the 90s. but does much more than just tick off a list of requirements. Epic, melodic, but without losing sight of the aggressive weight you're supposed to find in a proposal of this kind. The ambience and atmosphere, which continues to be an essential component of what we're looking for in the style, is fantastic, and a certain folk flavor contributes to this, which without being festive best marks, and very subtle, all the songs we hear here. An album to discover. Although we're fans of all the nuances that different genres offer, there's always an added thrill when those same genres transcend their boundaries, especially when it's done in a memorable way. Moon Wizard have always been a good example of how stoner music can offer so much more than the expected, and often loved Platitudes and Sirens is perhaps the album where this is most evident. A dynamic voice full of emotional power joins the riffs that bring together stoner and doom with a metal spirit and simultaneously, in a more discreet way, with alternative. Music that proves that music is not static, nor can it be, when talent overflows a glass that holds much more than you might think. The legal dispute that gave the world two bands with the name Batushka has finally come to an end. As a result, one of the parties, the losing one, obviously, has had to change its name. Without taking sides, we try to focus on the music itself, without any preconceptions that might arise either from the result or from all the history behind it. And I must confess that this first album is a pleasant surprise. It's far superior to their previous work, and there's also a break with what has been their musical identity. With the weight being distributed with melody, the memorable impact of this album is undoubtedly powerful, thanks to more dynamic vocals, female voice and choirs included, and intelligent arrangements. Even if you don't agree with the positions taken above, there's no denying that this is a great album. Swedish duo Century are back for their second album, and expectations are obviously high. Skeptics might argue that they don't bring anything new, that nostalgia is their greatest weapon, which would be true if it weren't for one thing. Nostalgia is useless if there's no talent to make sense of it. And here we have a lot of meaning and a lot of talent in the form of classic heavy metal that is far from plastic, assembled on an assembly line that is only interested in creating a product for quick consumption. No, this is organic heavy metal, full of feeling and power, which will have an impact now as well as in 20 years' time.